Hi there, my name is James Davis from upad.co.uk and we are taking over Property Tribes, and the reason being is I think landlord and tenant relationship is really important in today's marketplace. It's not just about having a tenancy agreement in place, it needs to be actively managed throughout. And I'm here today with a couple of my tenants from London, just down the road from Upad Towers, and we were just going to talk a little bit about, from a tenant's perspective, what makes a good landlord, what works best for them. So what works best for yourselves?
For us, I think the best thing that works is to be comfortable with our landlord, know that any issues that we have, there's not many, but if there are, then we can have a chat about something and know that it'll get resolved really quickly, and there's no issues about it.
So, Stephanie, I think you've had maybe 10 different landlords in the past. What would you say are turn-offs that sort of mean that when your tenancy is up for renewal, actually maybe you don't want to stay in that property because the landlord hasn't acted in your best interest? What have been those turn-off factors?
For me, it's probably not even knowing the landlord, working through a letting agency and never even knowing the email, sometimes not really knowing their names because it's been let through a company, so you don't have that direct contact with the landlord. You feel like you're just kind of maybe in a block building, you could be anybody, nobody really knows who you are, so you don't really, I think, make the home a home. Whereas if you know the landlord and you respect the landlord, then you kind of feel more at home in the house and you make it more your own. You can talk with them and say, like, I'm going to do this, do you mind, or not so. I mean, I think the more comfortable you are with the landlord is the best thing.
Sophie, what's useful for you when you're letting a property and communicating with a landlord? Why would that be valuable for you?
For me, it was really important because I live abroad, so for me, I don't want to have to not be able to go home for a certain amount of time and have to come back and move everything to a new place. And it's nice to be able to make your own space and be comfortable knowing that you want to get your own furniture, you want to just maybe decorate the place and not have the hassle of running around looking for new places to find.
Sure, and it's an interesting point about making the property a home. Do you see that as being useful from a tenant's perspective? Would that be advice that you would give other landlords to allow tenants to make the property a home? And why would that be a good thing for landlords, perhaps?
I definitely think it's a very important thing because when you're living somewhere and, say if your landlord isn't going to let you take something out, be it like a wardrobe, a couch, that you're stuck with that furniture, and then if you want to put your own stuff in, are you going to have to then rent storage to keep the landlord's furniture in? And that's extra costs for you, and it just makes things more difficult.
Cool. Thank you very much indeed. And I think also one thing that we find to be quite useful from a landlord's perspective is to do due diligence on tenants about what they're actually like. But I thought we'd spin it the other way around and ask a couple of my tenants, Sophie and Steph, what they do when they're looking to rent a property. Do they do any due diligence on the person who owns the property? I thought it'd be quite interesting to spin it from the tenant's perspective. So Sophie and Steph, what do you do when you're looking to let a property?
I'm an avid Googler. I'll meet someone in the street or walking the dog in the park, and I'll be like, okay, nice to meet you. Remember that name? I'm going to Google it. See, I'd like to know as much information as possible. So, going in with the knowledge is important for me. I don't really want to end up with a landlord that is a member of some weird organization that maybe I don't agree with, or it's. Yeah, I guess that's important.
Yeah, it's to know that
You're in safe hands.
Yeah.
You're moving into their house, so you want to know they're not completely crazy, and they can maybe deal with your crazy too.
And I think what's also important from a landlord's perspective is to realise what tenants are increasingly doing and prepare for that. So whether it's your LinkedIn profile, for example, make sure you put on there that you're a member of one of the landlord associations, how long you've been a landlord for, that you're accredited by the London Landlord Accreditation Scheme or the Rent Smart Wales, wherever your properties actually are, so that when tenants are increasingly Googling you, they're seeing the stuff about you that is really important and adds credibility that you're a member of these type of associations. So thank you very much, Steph and Sophie. Really appreciate you joining me today, and it's a pleasure doing this video for PT. All the very best.